produce very many children. And other people say the Africans produce like rats, very many. So that's one of the things. And another one is that we depend on the whites, that there is nothing we can do by ourselves as Africans. And that we have very low intelligence. And that is why you see when the whites are staging movies and there is an African place, make sure the African takes a part in a position where the person is very ignorant, knows nothing, that kind of character. And then that Africans cannot manage their own affairs. They always need ideas from the white people to come as expatriates to help them develop their land. Another lie is that we come from the apes, that we were not created by God. And others say we are actually like second-class people. We don't have the kind of wisdom that the whites have to manufacture aeroplanes, vehicles, and to advance in technology. And then that Africans cannot contribute anything globally for defeated people. And then the effects on us Africans, it has caused us to always settle for less. There is where the African could develop their potential to become, to develop their country, maybe technologically or politically. But you find the Africans always, many of them, they settle for less. And then we think we can only get the best in Europe. That's why many times when Africans get educated here, they get their degrees, they want to go outside to go and find greener pastures outside there. Then Africans have dependency syndrome. You find the Africans depend on the whites, on the Western world, the Eastern world, to get foreign aid in order to develop the roads, the industries, and the like. And then it has killed our self-esteem. We think of ourselves in an inferior position. When we see the white man, we think this one is better than us, is richer than us, even if we see them at the first time. Then it has built in the Africans inferiority complex, and we have also settled for inappropriate education in affecting us for long, like in Uganda. We have just recently, some few years, 3-4 years ago, developed a new curriculum for the education system. We've been deployed for us. And then it has brought about moral decadence. They have brought things like condoms in the healthy sector, which they are dishing out to people, and the like, for people to use free of charge, which has promoted use of pills to control birth. Some young girls are using it to play sex freely, immorally, instead of maintaining self-control. And then
you should be winding
and then out. I should be winding out. How has darkness gripped the society where you come from? One is witchcraft, immorality, domestic violence, mob justice, drug abuse and alcoholism, jealousy, envy, sectarianism, unforgiveness, pride, rejection. How has this blocked the mission of God? It has limited the mission of God. Things like witchcraft, idolatry, they have limited the spreading of the gospel. Since time was against us, we couldn't go ahead. Thank
yes. You. Group 6 was doing serious discussions. Time cut you somewhere. Welcome, Reverend David. Thank you. Welcome. You can see the lies we have believed and how it is affecting us. Group number 5. After that, group 4, and then group 3. We close the chapter where you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, praise the Lord. Question 1, what lies have been spoken about Africa that you are aware of? In our group, we discussed this, that Africa is a poor continent and all the African countries. And African beliefs cannot be uprooted. This is one thing that even Africans are planted over their children. And witchcraft is found in Africa. African skin is dirty and ugly. That is one of the beliefs they have spoken to us. And then Africa is a backward continent. Africa and Africans, they are backward continent and people. Quality of education is not in Africa. That is one of the beliefs. And so there's a lot of illiteracy here. And African wealth needs white penetration and improvement. They need the whites to work on it, not the Africans. The minerals, all that kind. The second question is, how have these lies affected the way we see, the way you see yourself as an African? Africans feel embarrassed, out of context. Inferiority complex is one of it. Africans feel better lives out of Africa. Other Africans, they end up bleaching to change their skin. So men are practicing. And underdevelopment, because of all these lies, they don't develop themselves here in Africa. And then wicked cultures and idolatry, denied access to truth, and lack of exposure to light of the gospel, polygamous family roots. And then the last question is, what can you do about it? And then we are asked to take fastings and praying, evangelizing, teaching, discipling, denouncing the ignorant, endorsements in the communities. So these are the few things we...
Thank you. The lies, the lies, the lies. Group number 4, we need you to come up. Group 3, are you also getting ready? Where is group 4? Who was representing group 4? Okay, group 3 come. We shall, both the chairman and secretary of group 4 is not around.
Praise the Lord. This is what we came up with from our discussion. The first question reads, what lies has been spoken about Africa that you are aware of? One of our answers was, we are caste people. They believe that the Africans are caste people. That's why we have remained the same. There's nothing good that can come out of us. And then number 2, we can never develop. Even if we struggle, we can bring development. That development will never come up from us. And then the third one is, we are lazy people. And that's why we have remained undeveloped, because of our laziness. We are lazy, poorly educated, and unintelligent. So the reason as to why we cannot develop is because we are uneducated. We look at ourselves being uneducated and unintelligent in doing something that can bring development. D, unable to produce quality products for the world economy, and that's why we import from other countries. And then question 2 says, how has these lies affected the way you see yourself as an African? We undervalue ourselves, 1. 2, we have little hope for the future. 3, we have become dependent on other races for aid and support. Because of time, we are going straight forward to question 3, which reads, how has darkness gripped the society where you come from? 1, it has caused sicknesses and death. 2, it has caused ignorance. 3, it has caused us to turn to idolatry worship. 4, worship and witchcraft for survival. 3, unstable and broken families. The B part of it says, how has it affected the mission? 1, it has frustrated the effort and deploy faithful missionaries. E.g., fear of mission work. 4 part of it says, what can you do about it? We said we need to pray consistently to break altars that hinders. 2, review and prepare a reward to the people. And then C, we need to recruit and raise missionaries from existing members from the body of the Christ. And then C, reaching the people with an attitude of love, compassion, and service. Thank you so much.
God bless you. Why we brought that time of reflection was that yesterday, remember, in the morning, we shared about, Reverend David shared in his openings, he shared about how to learn from Jesus, how to go back to the basics of how the gospel was preached, so that we can put the way we preach the gospel in the right perspective. And when I came to share, I shared about understanding our mandate and identity as Africans, and then giving the biblical mandate of Africa and how Africa contributed to Christianity and even the education of the world and technologies. And so in that reflection, we realize that the lies are many. Praise the Lord. Satan is called the father of lies. Does that mean that Satan has a bit with the lies as Africans, telling us a lot of lies about ourselves? And yet, what God says about us is totally different. I just want you to think about this. If you went to the shop and there are 2 products, one is written made in Uganda, or made in South Sudan, or made in Congo, and another one is written made in Japan, made in United States, which one are you likely to buy? The USA one, because you feel it is superior. And in Uganda here, they started something called Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. And they tried to even reduce taxes on those things. But still Ugandans will go for the foreign products, because there's a big lie we believe that we cannot make good quality things. But although when I was young, Ugandan shoes, Ugandan textile clothes, Ugandan things were very, very nice. But there is a lie still being pushed that we cannot make good products. And when we make a competitive product, they put a ban on it and say it has not passed the international test. One Ugandan made Covidex, you remember? And they said it should just be called a remedy. It should not a medicine. And yet, it cleared COVID very well. Praise the Lord. And so, these lies have affected the church as well. And because it has affected the church, we are also struggling with how to do ministry. yesterday, remember I said, whenever we talk about mission, somebody thinks about speakers, big pulpits, lights, powerful things. That's what mission is in our mind. When we talk about a missionary, immediately we think of a white man. We are surprised when we see an African saying, I'm a missionary. We are like, how? It's as if it is forbidden. So, these attitudes, until we deal with them, do you know that Africans can establish very viable business enterprises and thrive and support their own mission and support their own ventures, build their own churches, raise up everything needed to run their... Recently, we have just been struggling to raise funds to... We've been asking people to contribute towards the Voice of Life project. And it's like you are digging a mineral that is very deep down under the earth. When you are just asking people, because the mindset has been that it is the white people to support things like that. And donations should come from elsewhere. It is all part of the lie. We believe that we cannot sustain a dream we have dreamt here in Africa and build it to its successful implementation. So in this convocation, we are coming to reflect on our state, the state of the church. How yesterday we talked about the revival issue. We said if we don't break the grip of darkness on the land and on the people, we cannot arise and shine. But it is time now, how these lies have impacted you and how you are going to be different going forward. Because today's reflections that we will do today in the breakup sessions, we will also reflect on what will be shared here today. And when the ministers stand here to share, you should be able to reflect on yourself and at the end of the day, resolve within yourself to approach things from a new perspective. And we redefine ourselves so that at the end of the day, we are fulfilling the mandate of God as a continent. And as we fulfill that mandate as a continent, we will see the hand of God in Africa. Just outside there, we were talking with Shadrach. He reminded me on the celebration of independence when the Central African president came. And our president said to him, he wants to talk to Uganda Airlines to connect to Central Africa to continue to lift cargo between Uganda and Central Africa. And when you think that is just a political thing, it's actually paving way for many things. Trade and the gospel as well. If the roads have been tough, now if Uganda Airlines starts going, what will that mean? We can take the Sudan to tarmac, to see how to partner to tarmac the road from Moraba to Yambio to the other places to make these regions accessible. What will that mean for our audience of the gospel? So everything God is doing right now is preparing for Jesus' second coming. Even in Jesus' first coming, God brought a government called the Roman Empire. They made roads. They propelled a common language. There was trade. Traveling became easy. There were systems in place. When the gospel came, it just moved smoothly. You hear Paul is in where, this one is there, because God used the government time to set favorable conditions, economic, social, political, and by the time the spiritual things were sparked up by the birth of Jesus, now the world was ready for the gospel. And so this is what God is doing right now. And I also read recently they are making trans-African highway. Every country, that route starts from South Africa, Cape Town, up to Cairo. They want to make that road. And actually here, it is this road that passes via Nimule to Juba, like that. Sudan up to Egypt. That is this move. Speaking to us today are all in place now. And we thank God. You see, this rain is nothing for people who are determined. You understand? It's nothing for people who are determined. They will brave through. I saw you guys come through. That is the spirit. We desire that in a short while the rain will be over and we will continue normally with our program as stated. Bernard, are you ready for us? You are doing it from Joshua's side there? Okay. All right. As Bernard gets that,